Folks, hello. Hopefully you're having a very, very, very good day. We are here with some more Hobby Nightmares, but if you like what I do, please like the video. It does wonders for every single video we do, so the YouTube gods look at us with more favour, and they start to share Hobby Nightmares with more people that are out there. Costs you nothing. A second just down there to click the like button. That would work wonders for me, and it really does make my day when I see that tick up. I'm not the kind of person who likes to do that kind of thing at the start of videos, but if you don't ask, you don't get, I suppose. But anyway, let's move on to our Hobby Nightmares, shall we, with Matt, who's first up today, and he says, "Hi North, first of all, well done on the channel, thank you very much. I intend to tune into your new gaming channel when I can." Good for you, man, thank you very much. Yes, there is a new gaming channel. It is Northern Exile Gaming, so if you want to watch me play video games nice and chill, like it's just me and you in the room, rather than me, you, and a lot of other people when it's Hobby Nightmares, that's the place to go. It's pretty fun. I have a collection of Hobby Nightmares, and those who go through the rigmarole of moving house can attest to. So before we start, by all means, have a sip of Yorkshire's finest tea, and we can begin. Nightmare number 1. Even though we had prepared to move house for a few weeks, there was always more to do. I meticulously packed the majority of my models. I labelled boxes, added packaging material to delicate models, and indicated what was not to be packed onto which box. We hired a firm to help with moving, since our family were not readily available to help. As time went on, the legality of moving house dragged on, paperwork not being correct, and the buyer not being ready to complete the transaction for reasons. We went on a holiday for a week to a caravan site near Blackpool to relieve the stress, and 3 days in, we had the phone call. The buyer was ready to complete, and the removal men would be ready, but only for the coming weekend. We quickly packed up and raced home to begin finalising everything before the big move. However, there were still a lot of models to pack to my sufficient standards, but time was against me. Some of my expensive Forge World models were on my desk, and I could not find a box they came from, so they went in a box labelled shed stuff. They were packaged up and stored there, ready for the removal van. Dude, if you do... This is all you, man. You put your Forge World models in a box called shed stuff. What do you think a lazy removal man person is going to do? He's gonna play basketball with it and throw it into the back of his van, you know? Cue the insanity of moving from one house to another, done by a team of guys and emergency family members called in for support. Cut to 6 months down the line, and I was able to finally get around to unboxing the remainder of my models. However, could I find the box labelled shed stuff? No. I looked high and low, not able to work out where they might be. Then, I went into our loft space, full of heavy items and long-term stored items. Under our child's old crib and a box of old clothes was a half-squashed box, badly damaged, with half of the word shed torn off. Oh no. I rescued the box, gingerly opening the flaps to discover the horror of about £100 worth of Forge World items smashed into resin pulp. I tried to fix them, but to no avail. They will now be in a pile of plastic designated for the base parts and terrain accessories. Dude, well, I just said, that's kind of your fault, dude. Like, you could have just carried them in the car. You put them on the seat in the car in the back, and they've been fine. I do that with some of my, like whenever I move my laptop, or I move models, right, they go in the back seat, strapped in like a child, in a box, that's it. You know? It's fine, and they never break. But if you put it in a box called shed stuff, you're kind of asking for, you know, that is asking for Hobby Nightmares to happen to you. Horror number 2. Or nightmare number 2. Our new garden backs onto a collection of allotments, with all the creepy crawlies and vermin associated with that. Anyhow, I have a slight aversion to spiders. Oh, so do I, man. I had watched the film Arachnophobia way too young, so cue my anxiety when I found my old box of Leviathan models had a spider web around the edge. I gingerly opened the box, finding the remains of the spider's last meals around the edges of the web. But where was the predator? It was climbing up my calf that was knelt on the floor of the shed. I dropped the box and decided in my infinite wisdom to become an avatar of the Death Watch and purge the Xenos. In hindsight, I should have known better, since the spider seemed to have an enlarged abdomen, but my desire to kill was strong at the time. I'd stomped on the spider, hopeful that I had killed it. However, its babies decided to crawl up my trainers and shins. Ah! Ah! No! No, no! No! No, no. Not for me. Your buddy North does not like these types of things. Nah, that's not for me, man. Nah. Serves you right, though. Serves you right. You flick the thing off, right? You just swipe it off as quick as you can. You go, oh, and you swipe it off. You don't just kill it. Okay, I will freely admit, I am not a lover of spiders. The small ones don't care. You know what I mean? And when I say small, I mean, you know, some other people can say, that's a pretty big spider. Nah, if I can't make the hairs out on the spider, I don't really care about it. It's fine. Leave it alone, right? If it's a big old one, I'll swipe it away if it's near me. Or if it's on me, I'll be like, ah! And I'll swipe it away, right? Like a big girl's blouse. That's me. But you don't kill them. Because they kill flies and other things that you don't want in your house. And at the end of the day, they're just chilling. Spiders are chilling there, having his best life, right? They very rarely bite, and even if they do, you can't feel it most of the time. So they're just chilling. We're in the UK, right? We don't have any monstrous spiders lurking around, hopefully. But yeah, it's just they're just chilling there. So try not to kill spiders, as much as I don't like them being around me, you know. And you kind of got what you deserved. I went absolutely berserk, jumping up and down, running out of the shed, and screaming like a little girl, to my personal shame. I went back to the shed after a shower and a change of clothes. I had to be sure I was cleansed of Xenos, and checked to see what had happened to my models that had become the nest to the horror. In my panic, I had not only managed to drop the box, but also stamp on the box. I knew I had broken something, but most of the termagants in said box were crushed. At least they were not painted, and only gaunts. I will come back to them another day. They are now in another box with a sealable lid. The shed is full of spiders, so I will deal with that another time. Okay. Nightmare number 3. Deciding it was time to start painting up models for a massive apocalypse event this coming November, I intended to spend what free time I had beginning the task. I have over 60 Marines to paint up in the colours of my custom chapter of the Crimson Hammers, and had set up a makeshift painting desk in the spare room, next to my daughter's bedroom. My daughter was in bed, but not quite asleep. Hopeful she would enter the land of Nod, I got a piece of paraphernalia I would need ready to begin the task. The paint was open, brushes laid out, and models lined up. It would be a delicate job tonight, working on purity seals, eye lens, and smaller ruby details. I was ready to begin when my phone rang. It was my boss, discussing changes to shift patterns and requirements for my next night shift. I left the room, going downstairs, confident the models would be where they left. I went back 15 minutes later, and several models were missing. A chapter command squad, a couple of aggressors, and a chaplain. Where could they be? Then I heard my daughter say, "You look so nice in red." My heart sank with dread. I remember thinking, please be wrong. Looking into a room, I saw my 4-year-old with a paintbrush and an open tub of Miss Viston red, and my models on her bed. I guess imitation is the best form of flattery, but this left me conflicted. Now I need to decide whether to welcome her into the hobby, praise her for creating a modern art masterpiece, or chastise her for ruining her bed sheets with what resembled a gruesome crime scene. She was told off for messing up her sheets, but not for painting the models. The models are stored elsewhere until she is a little older to begin painting them. She has a paint set, so I'll encourage her artistic traits in the meantime. Hope you enjoyed the stories, and I have a number of tales linked to bouts of depression and how the hobby has helped me to share with you later at a later time. Keep up the good work, and as always, the Emperor protects. Kind regards, Matt. Cheers, man. Good stuff, good stuff. I do like sometimes when we get hobby nightmares that are more domestic. More normal. Nice normal domestic nightmares. Because a lot of you would have gone through the same stuff. Not everybody has a crazy girlfriend or, you know, a maniacal boss or has worked for Games Workshop. Do you know what I mean? Every man's stories, we'll call them. You know what I mean? Anyway, Samuel says, "Hello, North. I've been listening to your stories for a couple of years now. I like to listen to them during my long drives at work. You can call me Samuel. I've got a short one to share with you if you'd like. I've got a friend. Let's call him Dave. We're both grown-ass men, but we still play video games together on occasion. We're the kind of friends that constantly insult each other and turn every game with friendly fire into competitive team killing. I'm not the kind of person to cheat against other people in a game, but if it's against my friend Dave, all gloves are off." I will say this, right? If you've got a true friend out there, okay, and you see them getting themselves into a situation when you're on a night out or you're somewhere, wherever, and they're in, like, danger, but you see a really good, funny story developing, you say nothing. You say nothing. You let it play out. As long as it's not life danger, do you know what I mean? But if it's in, like, danger, as in, you know, you might get a slap in the face or something like that, you say nothing. You sit there, and you let it play out. And you can always, like, give them some advice later. But if you see a good story developing, you know how it is, lads, you know how it is. You know. We're the biggest trolls to each other, I swear. I once modded a first-person shooter game we were playing to give me access to better guns. He didn't know I was cheating until random assets started dropping out of the sky. Well, that's... I don't know, man. It rubs me the wrong way. It just rubs me the wrong way. There are certain things you don't do to friends, and, like, cheating as a practical joke for, like, 2 minutes, fair enough. Cheating in a full gaming session, where you're just wasting the time, nah. A couple of years ago, I got into Warhammer 40k, and I started learning a lot about it and planned on dragging my buddy Dave in as well. It didn't take long for me to build an army, but I didn't have anyone to play against. I even went to my local Warhammer store to see if I could find other players. The guy running the store turned out to be a bit of a dick, and told me nobody plays Warhammer, at least not in this store. But that's a story for another day. With 40k being so expensive, my friend Dave had a difficult time picking up the hobby. I ended up buying him off of his army of Necrons, little by little. Normally, Dave and I hang out over Xbox Live, but one day we found time for him to bring his army over to my house for an amateur game of 40k. We spread terrain out over the kitchen table, cracked open some beers, and started setting our pieces up. Dave brought his own dice he'd used in games of Dungeons & Dragons. The dice were mostly green, with a few blue ones mixed in. The game started, and was quickly going in Dave's favour, as he managed to roll very convenient sixes here and there. During his first shooting phase, I took notice that his blue dice always rolled a crit. Dave would feel around his bowl of dice and roll a few green and a few lucky blue ones. I started staring at Dave with a quizzical, "What the fuck, dude?" look on my face. Dave continued to play dumb and give me a, "What?" After a moment's thought, I asked, "Wait, didn't you tell me you were colourblind once?" "Thanks for your time, North. Cheers." Basically, he got you back. He got you back. He started cheating back. Oh my days. Oh my days. Well, to be fair, again, this is two people today who have brought this on themselves. You know, if you introduce cheating to your friends, you know what I mean, and you introduce learnt behaviours that are, you normalise cheating, and like, it's fine to cheat, then why are you surprised when they cheat against you? You know what I mean? I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying, you know, you can't be surprised, and you can't be salty about it. I don't think you are, but you're just having a bit of fun with it, which is fine. Alright. Romerus says, "Hi North, please call me Romerus. I hail from sunny Brisbane in Australia and have a hobby nightmare for you that I wanted to share. It happened quite a few years ago, but still makes me shiver to this day. Around 15 years ago, there was a local store that sold Games Workshop products. I was a regular visitor and purchaser from the store, but at the same time, I didn't want my wife to find out just how much of my wages was going into the hobby. Not because I was being evasive or deceptive, it's just she didn't see the appeal and I didn't want to have an argument or justify my position. You know the old saying, Easier to ask forgiveness than for permission. Yeah, it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask for permission. Yeah, it is. This is a tricky situation, dude, and I'm completely with you, right? I would love to be able to say, hey, you know, well, I would love to be able to explain to, like, toxic exes why collecting Warhammer's good for me and why I like to do it, right? But there are certain people who just will not see the appeal of spending that much money on models. I mean, god damn it, man. Sometimes I don't see the appeal on spending that much money on random models. Do you know what I mean? But what I will say is that quite possibly, how do I put this? You're not going to win her around, and I think you're doing the right thing. You're just keeping it away from her. This is what you need to do. If they're not seeing it, if they just don't get it, if they don't get why something that makes you happy is worth the money, then keep it away from her. But I would also be kind of like, listen, this makes me happy, and it costs this much money. So, if this makes me happy, and I'm not beggaring us, right? If you're not spending the rent money, you know, you've got more than enough money. Everything that you buy of Warhammer, if you can afford it 5 or 6 times and you buy it once, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. Even if Warhammer's really expensive, if you can afford to buy it, not 5 or 6 times, but let's say there's a box of Intercessors for 35 quid. I know it's 37.50 now, which is a piss take, but let's say, alright, 37.50. If you can afford to spend £90 on Warhammer that month, and so you go in and you buy £37.50 worth of Warhammer, that's fine. That's what I would say is, yeah, it's expensive, but it makes you happy, and that's more important than the money, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So if you can go to your wife with that and say, listen, this makes me happy, I'm not spending a ton of money on it, you know? I'm spending some of my money on it because it's my money, because it makes me happy. If that's not good enough for you, then maybe we need to talk about boundaries here, because I'm not having this. This makes me happy. You know? I mean, you go and get your nails done. That's £30 a time, £40 a time. Alright? So what's the issue? You go out for drinks with your girlfriends. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, £100 a time when you go out with your girlfriends for a meal or something. That's alright. Because it makes you happy. Do you know what I mean? There are ways to approach this without jettisoning your entire relationship into the sun. But I would still have the conversation, because fuck you, it's my hobby. I'm not giving it up for you. As long as I'm not being irresponsible about it, you know? Anyway, it was coming up to my birthday, and the wife knew I wanted some hobby stuff, so, unknown to me, she went to the local store. On this day, the owner wasn't there. A bit of background, he was in a similar position to myself and understood bro code when it came to hobby purchases. Anyway, my wife arrived in the store and went up to the person working the counter and mentioned that her husband played in the store and bought the occasional box or models of paint. The person behind the counter asked my name and my wife mentioned it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know that guy." She then asked the person manning the counter if he knew what I bought so she could get some of the same items for me. The counter person then said, "Better take a sip of tea here. Sure, I can print out his account for you, which shows everything he's brought." Oh, dude. What a chode. What an idiot. You don't... One, that's a big invasion of privacy. I don't care if it's your wife. Do you know what I mean? Pages and pages then start coming out of the printer of all my purchases. My wife thanked the person, collected the pages, and left without buying a single thing. Yeah, I bet she did. When I got home that day, I walked in the kitchen and saw the pile of paper on the table and noticed it had the store's name on it. My wife was sitting at the end of the table and just looked at me and said, "Is there something you want to tell me?" "Yeah, I do, yeah. I want a divorce." "Yeah. I want a divorce." What, why? Because you invaded my privacy. Alright? I don't spend a lot of money on this. You invaded my privacy. And now you're trying to, what, browbeat me? You're trying to guilt me into not doing a hobby that makes me happy anymore? Seriously? Get the fuck out of my house. Sorry, had to say that for catharsis reasons. Is there something you want to tell me? Yeah, my wife's a bitch. That's what I want to tell you. As I mentioned, this was many years ago when we got through this little bump in the road. I'm still very much into the hobby, and she, my wife, is very supportive of this. This was a hobby nightmare at the time, but since then, everything has worked out. Dude, how? How did you get out of this? These days, my wife is very aware of how important the hobby is to my mental health. Alright, well, again, you've got a closing statement here that I'll read in a minute, but how did you get out of this? You've left out, like for me, the most important part, so give me a part 2. What happened? What did you say? You know? Because I would have blown my fucking top if I've come in and I mean, obviously those pages are from years and years and years of you being in that store, as you said before, right? You've been there for a long time. For this fucking idiot of a store clerk to print out all of your purchase history, how much of a fucking moron do you need to be to do something like that? You don't know that this is that guy's wife. You don't know that. Privacy is a thing. You don't just hand out people's purchase history to anybody who walks in. Dude, I would have been irate if this was me. I'd have marched back to that fucking store and slammed that down on the counter and been like, you're a twat, mate. You're an idiot. Right? You're lucky if I ever buy anything in the store again, and I will go to your manager about it. You're a tosser for doing that. Right? And with your wife giving you that kind of attitude, listen, man, I would have sat down and it's been, and I told, you just have to tell her straight, listen, I love this hobby, it makes me very happy. I'm not spending that much money on it. So either get off your high horse or I'll kill the fucking horse out from under you and kick you out. Because I'm not having this. I am not having this at all. Like it's not gonna fly. I'm not giving up my mental health and something that really means a lot to me because you don't get it. Because you know, this makes me happy, but that's not important enough to you. Do you know what I mean? The fact that this makes me so happy, you should want me to spend more on this. If I'm being responsible with my money already, you should want me to be like, go, dude, have fun. My missus does that, right? She's brilliant. She, every single night, if I want to play a few games on the PC, or do some writing, or work on a few things for the channel, she lets me get on with it, because she knows how much it means to my mental health. Even though I'm not spending time with her that evening, she knows how much it means to me. If I go spend money on models, as long as I'm not taking the piss, right? Listen, I bought this new PC, right? New lovely PC, and it wasn't cheap. I had to do it for the channel. I wanted to be able to do more streaming, which I'm doing now. Hopefully you can see, and things like that. But I explained it to her, and she said, listen, your PC, your computer makes you happy. Doing the channel makes you happy. Doing more streaming with your friends on the channel will make you happy. So go and buy the computer. You don't need to justify it to me. As long as you tell me what you're doing, so I know that there's not a load of money leaving the account without me knowing, you know what I mean? But you never have to explain yourself. Just tell me what you're doing and explain, and explain, you know, what you're using it for, and I will always say, fine, whatever. As long as we got the money there, dude, you earned that money, you spend it. That's a partner, right? She supported me 110%. That's a partner. And I would support her doing the same thing. I pay for her to get her nails done every month. I pay for her to do different things because she is a big part of my life, and she's a stabilizing effect on my life, and I love it. You know, she's a really positive influence on my life. Aside from all the lovey-dovey stuff, which I'm not going to get into, obviously, because you know what I mean. But there you are. Well, that's what it should be like. You should have a partner saying, hey, is this hobby, does it mean a lot to you? Alright, well, how much are you spending on it? You know what I mean? Is it a ridiculous amount? Oh, it's not. Okay. Right, okay, well, in that case, have at it, son. Like, you know, you make sure you go and have fun. And you get your joy. All of your joy doesn't have to come from me. My missus gets that. Right? I live a healthy, balanced life, or I try to. Your wife's behaviour there would have pissed me off. Not gonna lie there, Romulus. One, she participated. You could have stopped this at any time and said, no, I don't want to see his purchase history. You know what I mean? She could have stopped that at any time. But she didn't. She chose to invade your privacy. That would have really, really got my back up. Really would have made me fume. It depends how long I've been married to this person. If I've been married to this person pretty recently, this might put a strain on the relationship. This kind of thing here. This is an abuse of trust to me. You've abused and invaded my privacy. You don't trust me. Right? So no, there's nothing... The one thing I want to tell you is you're a bitch and you shouldn't have done that. You know? Maybe I'm being too harsh. Guys, in the comment section, am I being too harsh on this hobby wife? And I'd love to know how you got out of it and what you said to her. Because that would be really interesting. Because I know what I would have said to her. You know? Yeah, you're a bitch for doing that. You can see I don't spend a lot of money on the hobby. The money I do spend makes me happy. And me being happy should mean more to you than the 30 odd quid I spend a month on models. Do you know what I mean? And if it doesn't, go fuck yourself. If it doesn't, okay, I'm not allowed to do any models anymore. Cool, tit for tat. You're not allowed to go out with your friends anymore. You're not allowed to do your nails anymore. You're not allowed to spend money on fucking Amazon shite anymore. Right? It irks me that women. I've literally got a cup of coffee here. Women sip the coffee. Do you know what I mean? It irks me that some of them that you get into a relationship with and you're in the hobby, which just won't get it, and they will go after your hobby and they will try and emasculate you for being in the hobby. Fuck those people, man. Fuck those people. I'm not saying your wife is that. Obviously, she's more supportive now. But Jesus, this would have really gotten under my skin. It would have. Anyway, continuing on. Thanks for taking the time to read this and for your videos. I found your channel a little over 2 months ago and now I'm an avid listener and supporter through YouTube. Your videos are a welcome appearance in my daily recommendations on YouTube. Keep up the great work, sir. You're an important part of this community. Kind regards, Romers. Well, thank you, man. And I'm not insulting your wife there. Like, I'm not. Right? Again, peace offering. I'm not insulting your wife. I'm insulting what she did. Okay? But I'm sure I'd love some more context. How much were you spending? Because in your hobby nightmare here, you are making out like you're not spending very much, and you actually told me you're not spending very much in your hobby. So if that's the case, you know, then why is she kicking up a stink? And how did you get out of it? Let me know. I'd love to read that bit out. Let me know. Anyway, I love you a long time, and pass my regards on to your wife and tell her well done for improving her behaviour. Have a really good time, guys, over the next couple of days. I mean, it's only what day are we on now? Wednesday. Oh my God. Well, we're on the way down now, guys. We're on the way down towards the weekend. So have a good couple of days as we get towards the weekend. I love you a long time. Like the video, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I love you all. Have a good one. Bye now.